Dumela, Sawubona, Sakfase, Namaste, Obshin, Dubra Ota, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, Boani, Buenos dias, Bonsoir. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Doria Larrier's show, also known as the Digital Couch. This is season 2, episode 27. Who knew that we could actually get this far at this time? Welcome to this episode, which is really, really different. Some of you know that I've just returned from the motherland. I've just spent some time in Morocco and in Ghana. And as I was doing my debriefing, those who know I can't have an experience without wanting to talk about it. I wound up doing a little bit of chit-chatting or a little decompressing on social media. And in the conversation, the brother, who will be right here, decided to sort of respond back. He did not know, but now he knows that when you do that, we then engage in some discourse, hopefully not a diatribe, a discussion, and of course, some dialogue. So please welcome to the show, Brother Kwame Asante.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Greetings. Thank you so much. Greetings. So let's just get some housekeeping rules. And of course, we are on multiple platforms here, and we are so proud and thankful to do that. And so if you know Brother Asante, if you know myself, if you know the conversation and want to go to Ghana, have been to Ghana, want to chat in, chime in, or one is going like, nah, I don't think that's for me, please share this out with someone, because you really need a travel buddy, but you also want someone who's going to like keep the lens clear. And that's what this conversation is about. I also need for people, of course, you need your little teacup, because there's going to be some tea time or some little water time that we're going to need in this conversation. Last but not least, sharing is caring. And so if you hear anything that really sounds like an aha moment, or it makes you question things a little more, please drop it in the chat, and then we will bring those statements and those questions and comments up for further discussion. All right. So, Brother Asante, first of all, I would like for you to actually give your accolades, because I cannot do it justice. And then how in the world did you and I even connect? And literally this happened over the past 72 hours.
Yes. So my name is Kwame Asante, born and raised in Ghana, and that's what via way of also Newark, New Jersey. Upon arriving on the shores of the state, right, I have to give Newark this shout out. Now, never, baby.
Shout out to your mayor. Who on my first? That's right. Okay. Actually, shout out to Brother Raz Baraka. On my first trip, he actually was on the same flight. He was on the same trip. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. All right. So we have to send this over to him. Shout out to Raz.
Shout out to Brother Raz, and also shout out to his one of his right hand brothers, Brother Andre Hollis, who makes sure that we never forget our Newark roots. So Brother Hollis, I can't forget about you, and of course the rest of the brothers, so I don't get in trouble, about shouting out Birdman, but not the rest of us. So anyway, this was an unexpected connection. I'm a recently retired educator from the Plainfield school system, right? Yay. 29 years of service, 17 years as an admin, principal of a middle school. So I'm finally on my first trip as a retiree. So day two, and I'm being interrogated up here.
Excuse me. Like I said, this is your qualification. This is your SDL on another level. Those of you who are teachers, you understand what I'm talking about. Thank you so much to the people who are already here. Please, there are about 20 people who are here. I need you to literally share this out so other people can come in. So hello, my brother. It's your sister and nephew tuning in. Okay, so you have fam here.
I have family from the motherland even tuning in, from my understanding.
Yay.
So I shared quite a few of my home folk, Ghanaian folk, so that they could touch base and check this out. as well as my
Beautiful.
brothers out there. Brothers of 100 Black Men at Rutgers University, the old dogs, I should say. Thank you for checking in as well. I got to give them their props. That organization helped sustain quite a number of us when we were undergrads at Rutgers. So, interestingly, majority of us are still linked and found ways to kind of connect over the years. So we're talking 30 years out of the 32 now. 32. Oh, let me stop dating myself.
Wait a
Okay.
minute. Wait. Hold on. Okay, so wait. So Brother Khalil Sabu Rashidi said 100 Black represent. Okay, thank you, Brother Khalil. I love it. Share this out.
What's
Question.
up, big dog?
Just before you continue, did anybody take any classes in the French department? I just want to know.
In the French department?
At Rutgers.
French. I took French, but not at Rutgers. Sorry.
All right, we'll talk about that.
My French is kind of rusty now too, so.
All right, so you're
my 2 cents worth of French out, but I'll leave it alone.
We're not gonna hurt you. So you're a recent retiree. You said 17 years admin.
17 years admin, 29 years overall, and spent 12 years as a classroom teacher of math and science.
Excellent.
I was mistaken for a phys ed teacher many a times until I have to correct folk. No, I'm not a PE teacher. I'm a math teacher. And then it was like,
go.
So, our folks on the other side were quick to classify.
Do we have to start with the microaggressions here?
Yes. I had to deal with that quite often.
See?
Until, they realize, okay. I'm sorry, but back then in the early days, I was a bit of my filters weren't that refined, I guess. I don't know how refined they are these days, but
you kept your job. You kept your job. Look at that. Because I know what you mean. Yeah. So in education, you've literally, as I say of myself, you have sat on many sides of the desk, right? Sat on many sides of the desk. And that will definitely help to frame our part of our conversation. Oh, beautiful. We have wonderful folks, and I'll shout them out in a moment. I definitely want you all to share this out. So here it is. I go on this trip. Now, this is not my first trip to the motherland. I've actually started in, if I run it down, 2015, South Africa, Western Cape, 26. That was in July, 2016, February, Ghana, Elmina, Cape Coast, Castle, Asimanso, all of the hot spots. 2017, I go back to South Africa. I do the Eastern Cape at that point. And then here we go. We're in 2022, and I go back to similarly the same tour that I did in 2016, of course, with different perspective.
Right.
Whenever I am plummeted, and I'll say that word lovingly, plummeted with a variety of intense experiences, and I'll say it like that. Most people just say, oh, how was it? And I have to just shake my head and say, please go look at the YouTube channel. Like go look at go walk where I walked. Some people were following me during the trip. And whenever I was able to get stable internet, hint, they were able to walk along with me and experience the sights, the sounds, not the smells, of course, but they were able to walk in my shoes. But in coming home, I went through a little bit of a mind shift, and I've been there before. At this time, I just really felt like I needed to talk to someone about it. And so I take to my platform because I can get a variety of eyes and ears. And I have to, at this moment, say shout out to Professor James Small, who I spoke with right before I left. And of course, he, as an elder in the community, as a scholar of African and African American history and culture, religion and spirituality, he was able to provide, let's say, some netting to the filter. Some netting. Of course, netting will allow you to let a lot of the stuff go through, and then you really keep the solid stuff, right? So as I did my daily vlogs, and I have seen what I've seen before, this time certain things hit a little different. One of the things that hit different was I actually saw some of the same people in the same place doing the same work 6 years later. from people who served us at the hotels that we were staying at. Literally, I remember these young men in the same place doing the same work. And I was like, oh, interesting. At the markets, of course, some of the same people I would run into them. Oh, sister, you've come look at this. And I said, brother, I remember you from 6 years ago. And it hit when I was at the Bonwire Kente market. One brother approached me and we had this conversation, and we were doing like the video and doing the weaving or whatever. We'll talk about a couple of these episodes. And I looked at him and I said, I actually, bought from you when I was here before. And he's like, oh, look at this, look at that. And I looked and I said, I have that black, white, and gold one. He looks at it. It was in the same spot, which means it's his cloth. He looked at it, looked at me and said, oh my goodness, wait a minute, I remember you. He said, you were the one that sat on the loom before. And then I literally pulled up my phone, found the video of when I was there 6 years ago. And he said, look at me, I'm right there. I said, I told you. So there's a moment of, and this is where I'm going to definitely turn the mic over to you, of movement and standing still at the same time. Movement and standing still at the same time in terms of economic development, in terms of what I saw, in terms of housing and presence of housing and the variety of what housing looks like and I'm going to say to the haves and the haves. Somebody type it now. This is what, if I say to you folks, someone type in the chat haves and haves, or someone type in the chat, please do it. Please help me out. The haves and the haves, because everyone has.
Oh, yeah.
But what they have looks different to different people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And I think, that's one of the things that I always say the juxtapositioning of things home, right? The neighborhood you may be riding through. Yeah, you may be looking at a nice mansion, and a few yards down, it's something completely different,
Not even yards, like feet.
Right. And so, but even with that, you still have that relationship dynamic at play, right? It's not because my house may be a little bit bigger than yours or way bigger than yours, right? Doesn't mean that I toss you to the side. We're able to connect. We're able to interact. So there's a different vibe versus how I've seen it here, where, we live up in the hills and you guys are beneath us, right? Some of it is at play, but I don't know that the prevalence of it is that big. And maybe that's because of my experiences. I think the thing that that piqued my interest with watching your video, that prompted me to initiate all of this, right, was my need to let people know, when you go home, when you leave this country and go onto the continent, you cannot take the lens of that place with you.
Right.
You must leave it behind, and that's a lesson I had to learn when my first return back home. I came here at the age of 12. So when I came here, I came with Ghanaian lens, I that was home. I loved it, sort of didn't really, as excited as I was coming to America, literally, I still had the desire to want to be home, right? And so I leave at the age of 12. I returned 16 years later. And
so hold on a second. So when you left at 12, what were the circumstances for you leaving home? And everyone say
my father was here. My father was here. My father was here. And he wanted to bring me here, to give me an opportunity, which he did a marvelous job of doing. I have to give the old man, rest in peace, his props. But as a child, you kind of don't really understand or appreciate events in your life, that somebody else is kind of guiding. And so, but I came, and his whole thing was, okay, so you are not going to be engaging me with the frequency. I'm your father. I'm going to work. The people you're going to have to deal with and hang with are your younger brother and sister. So basically moving forward, you better get your English language tightened up, right?
Oh,
Because
okay.
you're going to be mingling with them. So speaking Tree on the, I will hear it between him and mom, but
Hmm.
he wasn't speaking it because my siblings didn't speak the language. They understood it, but didn't speak it, in the way that one would expect. So 16 years later, as an adult, I returned back to Ghana in 1995. I get there, and again, my childhood lens of Ghana, for whatever the reason, I was locked into Nkrumah Circle, which is no longer really there anymore, right? They've it's all developed, and I think they moved this statue off to the side somewhere. Um,
So,
but
right. So actually, it's right now. When I was there a few years ago, we were able to go to the statue and, do a little history lesson and take some photos and what have you. When we came this time, it is under renovation. So we were able to drive past it, but it's all boarded up. So I presume that they're doing some
at the
restoration.
circle or at the mausoleum.
So well, wait a minute.
So
Oh,
Nkrumah
there it is.
Circle. So the mausoleum is probably where you're referencing. Nkrumah Circle literally was a big circle, right? You know how we call it roundabouts,
A
right?
roundabout, yes, a roundabout,
Yes.
yes.
All right. So at the right, so his statue is in the middle. You had water fountain. I mean, it was a beautiful sight, you know. And so as a child, Christmas and holidays, there was always some sort of events in that area. So
Wow.
for me, my mind was locked into that. When I left, every year that, like, Christmas time was always like, okay, man, I wonder what's going on. As I got older, there was a separation. But upon my
Mm,
return, I wanted to see what's become of this place.
right.
Unbeknownst to me, there had been a huge, terrible flooding incident. Again, in my
Mm.
ignorance, I'm looking around. I'm cussing out Rawlins and his whole administration. My sister is like, oh yeah, she's co-signing half of my stuff, right? Uh, my cousin, on the other hand, was like, well, that's how things are. And so I looked at Ghana at that point in time as regressing versus progressing because of just the visual elements that I was around at that point in time.
Yeah.
It was a very emotional trip because 16 years removed, some of the folks that saw me with my mom in the market acting like a fool and being Kwame,
Oh, we
uh,
gotta talk about that.
uh, being Kwame, I didn't remember them. And so they're telling stories, and I'm going, wait, I vaguely remember that, right? So, I mean, you talk about a grown man crying. Those
Oh,
2 weeks were probably the most difficult time I've had on any of my trips to Ghana. But
hmm.
that trip was also grounding because it allowed me to come back here and be a little bit more receptive to a lot of things that I had walls up about. So, 95 trip was very instrumental in my growth and development. You know, the lesson from that, though, when I came back, I had a next door neighbor, George from St. Kitts. So he inquired, "How was your trip?" Well, all I could talk about was how they screw the country up and da da da, da, and I'm just complaining and just carrying on. And he just listened. And once I was done, he just calmly turned to me and goes, "Son, you know what your problem is? You went to Ghana looking at it through American eyes." And for whatever the reason, that statement hit home so hard
Yeah.
that on subsequent trips, before I would walk off the plane, I would take a deep breath and let America go. And from that point,
Ooh.
every time I go home, I have a hell of a time.
So
I,
somebody type that in the chat. When you step off the plane, you let America go. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And that's definitely a something that when we do travel, and I'm actually going to do a little chit chat with people in the chat now. Thank you, Sister Sonia, for putting "Step Off the Plane and Let America Go." Appreciate. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. So we have some people who are checking in. Let me do that right now. So Sister Gloria, I do says greetings. I'm actually just going to pop these up real quick, so you can you see them?
Now I can see it on your screen.
Okay, great. We have Brother Bernard Green Johnson. Excellent.
That's family. That's all family.
Excellent.
That's family right there. That's family right there.
We'll talk about how these are probably extended cousins. We have. Thank you so much, Sister Shelley.
Dr. J in the house. All right.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see who else we have. Eve Connection. Thank you so much.
Oh, rider. Levi. Ooh, 100 black. Okay. All right. I see. Oh, hey, sis.
Excellent.
Big Red in the house. Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank
so
you guys
folks,
for doing that.
That's right. Continue to if you want to, please drop questions in the chat, and then I'll be able to bring them up, and we'll be able to engage in the conversation. So one question that I definitely want to bring to this chat, and we'll talk about like three. So let's talk about economics, let's talk about housing and education, especially we'll end on education, and that'll be the brunt of this conversation, since both of us are have pencils everywhere in our lives, like in every pocket. That's because hashtag what teachers do. Someone type that in the chat, hashtag what teachers do, and then go look up that hashtag and you'll see me all over that, because I'm always concerned about what teachers do. So economics. So one thing that I said, what I noticed, what I paid attention to, whether I was at Brenu Beach on the coast, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, literally looking at the Atlantic Ocean, nobody's there, 6 o'clock in the morning. But guess what you see in the distance? You see one person strolling down the beach with a huge basket on their head, strolling down the beach. Now, it took me, because I used my little step tracker, it was a mile. It was a half a mile from where I was on the beach. Thank you, Tara Ashley, for typing what teachers do. And I walked to what I considered to be the end. Because once I got to that last tree on the end, I didn't know what was past there. So I wasn't going farther than that. But that strip of beach had to have been at least 2 to 3 miles long.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning, it was between 6 and 6:20. I see this one person coming up and down the beach, the basket, a log or a tube, like a yam, and a machete in it. Like, you're not messing with us.
Don't mess with them.
We don't have a machete. And then I see, like, about half an hour later, a mother and a son. And this happened over the course of 3 days. And then I see like 2 other people. So over the course, like maybe an hour, I see about 5 people. This between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. walking up and down the beach. And of course, I'm looking like this, like, first of all, where they coming from? And where they going? Because I don't see anything at either end. But I see Elmina Castle at one end, right? I can see that off, just so to give you some perspective.
Right.
And I'm thinking, wow. Again, I'm trying to take my American, or we'll say Western lens off. First of all, that's early to be walking on the beach. That's early to be going to work. Or is it? But then let's talk about the market. Let's talk about Kumasi market, right? The largest market, or it seems to be like one of the largest markets in the world.
Makola market is the one that most people will, talk about in Accra, right? Okay. And so, and then you have a Kaneshi market, which is another one. Sonia, my wife, has a corner in Makola Kaneshi market where she goes every time she's there to go get her shea butter, black soap, and cocoa butter.
Yes.
Right? So, as you mentioned earlier, seeing the same people in the same location is the same vendor in the same location.
Right.
And it doesn't change. But the beauty of it is that they all have a purpose, right? They're
Yes.
hustling. They're getting whatever one may think of the continent, right? We're not just laying around being lazy, as television and the propaganda would like to portray
Right.
our people on the continent. Our folks are workers. They're workers, and so you talk about 6 a.m. Folks are up before 5 a.m.
Yes.
every day, and half
Yes.
of them are not on the alarm clock. See,
That's
I gotta
right.
fight with my scholars to make their way to school on time. Back home, listen, 3, 4 year old kids are up, ready, and uniformed and ready to go, and they're walking a nice distance to get to school. For
That's
those who
right.
can't afford the trotro, right?
That's
So if you don't know what a trotro is, it's like a
hey,
little minivan that's hooked up with additional
listen,
seating. Look,
listen. So I'm from Brooklyn. Let's make that very clear. Okay. And I'm gonna put on my Brooklyn accent. If you on Church Avenue, if you on Flatbush Avenue, if you're on Utica Avenue, that's a dollar van. Let's just keep it real.
okay,
Somebody type in
okay,
dollar
okay.
van.
That's
And
the
you know how I'm
equivalent.
saying it
Okay,
like that? Because that's exactly what it is.
yes. And
But
so our folks are entrepreneurs. They hustle. They make it work. What we think, oh, they must be sad. They must, and sometimes I listen to stuff and I'm going, you do realize that's not how things are, right?
right.
And if it is, it's
They
in a
don't.
very small situation where you might find some of the things that's portrayed about Ghana and other African countries. You've been there, we are a lively bunch. All right, we make it work. We're innovative. We make things. We make something out of nothing. And the thing that we talking about economics. I'm still holding out hope for our leaders, right, to do their due diligence and make our countries their primary responsibility. And by that
Mm,
I mean, really investing in the country and its people, right?
yeah.
I don't know if you noticed while you were there, you see a lot of Chinese. Chinese is making their inroads. Um, yeah, you see, right?
Let me take a sip on that one. I'm sorry, because I have a whole like 20 minutes just to spew off of the vitriol about that.
Right,
But
and so you have other nationalities making inroads, not only into Ghana but into other African countries. Because we are not being our leaders, I would say, are not being smart about how they're interacting with other nations. Right, you can't give away the house. Can't give away the house, but sometimes that's what it feels like, right? And so, my brothers and I, 100 Black men, I see you, La. Um, Folks here who are thinking about the return, right? We're looking not only just to go and play big man, right? But also really to go and do something of value, something of substance. And so that's the direction we're looking to go. But and when it comes to economic, our leaders have to make sure they put some work into the infrastructure. Right? I don't know how long it took you guys to navigate aspects of our cry, if you weren't, but our cry is traffic heavy.
okay,
You'll be better
listen,
off walking than sitting in somebody's car trying to get somewhere sometimes.
listen. Somebody type in the chat traffic, just traffic. So if you've ever do not first, you cannot have a nice car and go on some of the roads in Accra. You cannot have a car that's low to the ground. Thank you, Sister Sonia, with traffic. You cannot have a car that actually have a car. The car I had before was like a Jeep, so it's a little higher. So I could possibly have done that. But the car that I have now, no way. I'd have no undercarriage.
As my sister used to call them, bone shaker roads.
Woo,
Okay,
I love that.
that's
I love
when you hit a pothole, your whole body is doing this.
it. Sure does. It sure does. What would take us about, let's say, what should have taken us, let's say, a half an hour, took basically an hour and 15 minutes. And you can almost see the distance. I'm like, oh, we're just going down there. We're going down to the end of the road. You still sitting there 20 minutes trying to get what you can see. Maybe, like 500, 700 yards, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it took me roughly 2 hours to go 8 miles. And I calculated because, I was leaving my father's house to the Tema toll. It used to be a runabout, but they've redeveloped that area and it's a nice smoother ride now. But it took us 2 hours to get from the house to the toll. 8 miles. 8 miles. So these are some of the things that create some frustration for some of us who are expats who go back home, right? Because we get so used to being outside of the country and what we experience here. And so part of it is also going back and the criticism that comes with it. Oh, they're not doing that. But again, as I shared, leave wherever you're coming from, outside of Ghana, outside of South Africa, outside of Nigeria, outside of wherever, right? Leave it on the plane before you step off. Because if not, you're really going to have a hard time enjoying and appreciating what the culture is offering you. Right, the welcome that home is, and even currently with the whole return, I think Sonia, my wife, said it best. People are in love with the idea of going, but if you listen carefully, the commentary can be a little like, you gotta do one of those. What you just say, right? So because it's I love it, but they don't do this, but but you're not where you think you're not where you're from or where you're living.
I love it.
So it's critically important. If you want to really enjoy the experience, you have to leave wherever you're coming from, those lands on the plane. You can pick them up when you get back on there.
Precisely. I want to give a little bit of a segue to, and let's just say if you are first time going, and if people want to drop in the chat, if you've been, and we're going to speak of Ghana specifically. We could talk about the continent, but let's just talk about Ghana, the country specifically. If you have been, drop a 1. If you have not been, drop a 0. If you're interested in going, drop a 2. We'll do like that. Haven't gone, 0. Have gone, 1. Would like to go, 2. Thank you. So if you're planning to go, here's a couple of things that you might need to do. And they are simple, but they take a long time. They take longer time than you need. Number one, and now I'm going to speak a bit from my perspective. Of course, starting early is not even a question, right? You definitely have to have your passport ready. Cannot be expired more than 6 months or so of your trip. But then you have to also get your visa. Let me tell you something.
Operation.
Listen, people, listen. Keep it simple. 30 days before your departure is the period of time. Now, it wasn't like this 3 months ago, that you are to make your application process online. It was not online before. It is now. Please have all the documents that they say to have at your fingertips. Because if you upload something and then you go get a drink of water and you come back and it times out, guess what? You're going to probably have to upload that again. I spent 6 hours straight trying to make sure I got my documents uploaded. Because if you don't save at the...
Wow. Okay. I haven't been on the site in a while, so I guess things have changed drastically. Because they used to save your stuff.
So,
okay.
Here we go. It's the Wednesday before I'm supposed to leave on the Monday. I didn't know that the consulate in Midtown by Rockefeller Center, right, wasn't open on the Friday. And the Monday was a holiday, And so I didn't know that either. It was some Ghanaian holiday. I think it was actually Eid. And so for whatever reason, the consulate was closed for that observation. No problem. But I'm like shaking in my boots. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I don't get this visa, I can't go. I go down there. Now, here's why the USPS is your friend. When you send the information that you're supposed to send, please make sure, of course, you keep the tracking number, and somebody type in every day, you check that tracking number. They are not going to answer the phone if you call the Ghana consulate. They're not going to do it. Don't waste.
Let me share a beautiful experience with you, and I think my secretaries will be able to share cosign. I called on my phone. They called on their line. A half hour. You're number 5 in the queue. You're number 3. And then when they got to me, it was I'm like, wait, I just wasted a whole half hour waiting for this. Okay, secretary tries. Goes through the same exercise. I'm like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yes. So don't expect somebody to pick up the phone and direct you.
Here we go.
Yep.
So
it's a little taste. It's a little taste of how things can possibly be when you're there. That's all.
I go to the consulate. I get there at about 10 o'clock or so, and I'm just gonna sit. Like, I'm not leaving until I see something, because now it's the Thursday, not knowing that the Friday they weren't even open. I didn't even know that, and I'm supposed to be leaving on Monday. I go, I sit, and I didn't really know what to do. As soon as I walk in, oh, you're here for this. You're here to pick up your visa application. Okay, come back at 2 o'clock. What do you mean come back? I just got here. What? Wait, huh? And in essence, he's shooing me away. I said, where am I going? It just took me an hour and a half to get here by train. I'm going to stand right outside. They let me go in. I sit upstairs. No one knows why anybody else is in that room. It gets gooder, right? And I say it gets gooder. That's my line. 12 o'clock. Nobody says anything. 1 o'clock, nobody says anything. 2 o'clock, oh, okay, we're coming for these people. Here it is. Boom. Doriel's name doesn't come up. No problem. I just sit there and I wait. Now the lady is at 3:15. She goes, well, I'm leaving at 4 o'clock. And if, you don't get your stuff, then I don't know what to tell you. But we're closed tomorrow and I'm leaving on Monday. And we're not open for the weekend. Now I'm starting to have heart palpitations. Didn't I just tell you the USPS is your friend? It's now 3:45. She's handing out everything else. She goes, come downstairs. We're sitting in there. I'm starting to sweat now. 4 o'clock, she goes, well, I'm leaving. Here's the rest of the stuff. I don't see yours. What do you mean you don't see mine? She goes, what's your name? I said, Laye. She goes, wait a minute. No, I don't think it's on my out list. Okay, but I'm going to sit here. She finally is walking out the door, and I'm now having a panic attack. And she's looking at my face, and she's like, I don't know what to tell you. The box that's sitting next to the security officer going of the out mail is sitting on the desk. Her bag is in her hand. She's flipping through. Tears are coming out of my eyes right now. And she goes, here. I said, excuse me?
That part is done.
I had so much pent up emotions at that moment. I started hyperventilating.
Wow.
Because I said, and she said, are you crying? Let me explain something. I had to milk it. I said, yes, I am. And I forced a tear out of my eye. What I really wanted to do is rip it apart. But what occurred is they did it. It was in the outbox, but they hadn't scanned it. So there was no record of it in the office that it was actually supposed to be on its way out the door. But if I walked out and it had not gotten in and they didn't move it to the USPS, it may not have gotten to my house until Tuesday.
Right. Wow.
So if you're going to do this on the 30th day before you, please on the 35 days, have all your stuff uploaded. Press upload on day 30 before your trip. And then 2 weeks before, if you don't hear anything, go to the consulate. That is the end of the story.
Okay. Good advice.
Lord help.
You will sit. You will wait.
And don't get, I want to say, don't get grungy. Don't get pompous. Excuse me, I want to talk to because he's going to be at the bottom of
that doesn't move Ghanaians. Come on now. We're not moved by this like that.
We like Brooklynites.
You better be happy we don't suck our teeth at you for coming at us sideways.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's get some more commentary from our folks. So that's the travel part. Yes, you need yellow fever. Yes, please check in with your doctor about malaria. Please get the malaria pills. Get what you need to get. I'm just saying, get what you need to get. But I think that's probably like a whole other conversation we'll have. So economics, right? So we talked about economics a little bit. We talked about how people, and let's sort of change the narrative of the word hustlers. They are doing their due diligence. They are, if we're going to use today's terminology, they are the entrepreneurs.
They are entrepreneurs.
Right.
They are. I mean, as you know, what did my cousin call it? When you're driving home, you could do your whole shopping on the way home.
Hello.
All right.
What is it?
You got folks who are in the middle of the highway, the street, who got their goods. And what do you need? Because whatever you need, I got you. You don't even have to get out your car to go to the, to deal with. I got you.
From bread,
lights down, you can get this, you can get. So yes,
car batteries, everything.
Name it. You're going to get it. Yes.
Everything. And that's
I tell people, I tell my friends, there's nothing that you can find in the States or wherever you are that you can't get home. They have stores that carry all the high-end materials or whatever. Right. It's just a matter of what you're looking for. So I have one of my boys, we call each other cousins. He's currently in Ghana. He's probably watching. He gets mad at me because I will go to Ghana with just a carry-on. Him and my cousin got mad at me a couple of times. They can't understand. How can you go to Ghana with just a carry-on? I said, because if I need anything, I can get it from here. Like, I don't need to bring everything with, but that's just my mindset. But now I'm sure a few more Ghanaians watching this will have an attitude.
Now, Sister Bernice, why you say they're called hawkers? That is what they're called.
What's up, cuz?
Beautiful. So even that is very eye-opening from my perspective. And the age of the people that I saw that are on the road that are literally almost like attacking your car to an extent, depending on, what's happening. Very interesting. And so again, now I'm going to use my educator hat. Mm-hmm. I saw some children as young as, I want to say like 7 or 8.
Yep.
Who are, had their wares on their head, and then maybe 9, 10 or so, the wares, and then little sister or little brother on the back, right? Mm-hmm. Baby's back to the children. Mama is somewhere probably across the road or whatever. And then of course I saw the other end of the age spectrum. So elders definitely who, if they were still able to sort of carry and walk, or they would be sitting on the side of the road. Let me tell you about the lack of a term of not competition, but collaboration. Right?
Yes.
Just imagine. Now, again, I'm from Brooklyn, so I'm always going to speak about Brooklyn. We have, and most people know, like Church Avenue, Flatbush Avenue is sometimes referred to as like Little Caribbean, right? We always wonder, but then you said favorite vendor, and that's the key. We have 4 corners. On each corner, there's a different greengrocer. Let's just call it a greengrocer. Mm-hmm. Saturday morning, all of them are busy. Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, half the food that was there in the morning is gone. Mm-hmm. And people are like, well, aren't they in competition? No. Because even though it's the same corn on each corner and they got it from the same Brooklyn Terminal Market, or if you're in the Bronx, anybody from the Bronx, same thing. If y'all from New Jersey, the Newark, Jersey City area, y'all have your own, whether it's Hunts Point, whatever. Nobody's really competing against each other because there's just a different flavor in the service.
Right.
what I was amazed in, and it definitely happened, what I was amazed in is I would see like 15, and you see it from the road, 15 sets of beautifully set up pineapples or yam or the tomatoes, which the vibrant color just stands out of the, the horizon so beautifully. And nobody's like, oh, take mine, take mine. Nah, I want the third sister from the left. I want her tomatoes. It's the same tomatoes. But like you said, your wife has a specific person.
Right. Right. And even with that, I would do you one better. I don't know if you got a chance to go to the art center when you were there, right? Adjacent to Nkrumah Mausoleum. So when you go in there, let's say you're looking for something specific. You come to my kiosk. I don't have it. But wait. What size do you need? What color?
That's right.
Wait.
That's
they
right.
Will leave their kiosk, go around the corner, and bring you about 30 different colors that but that component is so fascinating to me because one would think, man, please, you better get out of here. I'm trying to get this sale. And everybody's trying to get a sale. But at the same time, they're also looking out for each other because guess what? If somebody comes to my kiosk looking for a black mug, but all I have are white,
right?
I know somebody who has the black ones. So what am I going to do? Right. So they kind of feed off each other and help each other out in that way. And I think that's one of the things that's really, really fascinating in terms of just the collaborative and cooperative economics as you mentioned.
And very, very beautiful. And I literally was fascinated by that love for each other. There's a group that, especially in the Newark area. So if anybody knows Sister Aisha Taylor Issa of Sisters in Business Expo, she has Newark is actually one of the places that she holds the expo. I'm at the Robert Tree Hotel by NJ Pack in October. I'll be there. Hopefully y'all come out. It's great. But there's an essence of when my sister wins, we all win.
That's it. That's it.
When my sister wins, we all win. And so, yes, I went in and I said, hey, I have some people back home. Somebody wants waist beads. Okay. Well, the kiosk I went to the first time, I had to go somewhere. So when I came back, of course, I went left instead of going right. And so I walked to another sister who had some cloth at like the top of the arts and crafts market. And I said, oh, I was looking for waist beads. She goes, oh, I have waist beads, but I didn't see them out. She goes, oh, no, like they're in this place. No problem, fine. But I really wanted to get it from this sister because I told her I was going to come back. She goes, no problem. And then I said, oh, you know what, man? I really need some silver bangles because I have some babies that are just born. Oh, you need silver bangles? The brother here's, I have bangles. I'm like, I wasn't even talking to you, but he overheard me. Then just like you said, I said, well, where are they? I looked in my immediate periphery and they weren't there. He goes, no. He goes, what size do you need? I said, well, I need baby ones. So, he goes, hold on. About 20 seconds later, the brother comes back with baby silver bangles. I'm like, where did you go? He goes, oh, no. But he called one of his brothers because it wasn't him. But he said, oh, no. Look, this sister needs. So literally, they kept me there for a good 20 minutes.
Not losing the business. Listen, we're not going to lose that business. and the beauty of it is that we're going to make sure you eat because when you eat, we eating with you. You feel me? And so that's basically how it plays out because I don't, going home, they may not have much, but they're not going to eat and let you sit there and starve.
That's right.
Whenever you sit, we always say you are welcome, right? Come.
There will be fufu for everyone. Someone drop in fufu. Someone type in fufu.
Let's go with Banku. Fufu is heavy.
No.
Fufu is heavy.
Well, how about kenke?
Ooh, with some shito and fish.
What?
We're in business now. Okay, we could talk.
Wait.
I'm ready to go home.
Do I need to go and get my etai? Y'all need to see me making some fufu. I will come back here. So, okay, wait. Sister Sonia says, but kenke is my favorite. Thank you, Sister Sonia, for saying fufu for all. Absolutely. If y'all bring me to a Ghanaian place and there's no fufu on my plate, I'm walking out.
No
That's
way.
not a deal.
No way.
Either rice tuo, kenke, or fufu.
we'll get you some omutu with some peanut soup. How's that? Eh?
Y'all tearing me up. Y'all tearing me up. Y'all tearing me up.
Hey, Gloria, if you're still on, let's get that okra stew going. I'm coming by.
Who got the okra stew?
Ooh.
Who got it? I love it. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Thank
Miss
you,
Ryder. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us.
Please watch the replay, okay? Share it with someone else. Excellent. So let's shift from economics. We talked a little bit about housing. Actually, no, let's talk about housing for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just, again, I'm going to give my observation. Ghana it has been said that in terms of the housing structures in Ghana, it is the unfinished project.
And there's a lot of that.
Tell me what happens. Tell us what happens.
If it's just in Ghana, but yes, you start a project. So I have a project going now, right? And I can see how someone will start a project and then get frustrated and say, I'll leave it where it is until I can get there to deal with it myself.
Yeah.
So our brothers and sisters back home, when I say they're talented, it's an understatement. However, the business, some of them, I can't say all, but some of them do not have that business acumen needed to really as the expression go, cake, right? Because the opportunity is there.
I like that.
But once you start getting money in, you start cutting corners. Right. You say you were going to do this part of the project. We're doing things in stages, because I don't want to send you all my money, or I send you my money and all I'm getting is excuse, because you've decided to live large. Right? Things like that kind of, I think, get in the way of a lot of those projects not being completed in a timely manner. Because I'm dealing with it. My brother and I and a couple of my buddies, we're dealing with it. We have a project going up in Prime, and we're all, one of my buddies had to redo his pool that he was trying to, had to spend additional money. So stuff like that becomes frustrating when you're not home to oversee some of these projects. And so I think that's what lends itself to a lot of unfinished projects still sitting on the market, sitting out there. And my hope is that, pretty soon, we can get those things done so that we can enhance the landscape a little bit more.
Excellent. Definitely. Thank you. So Sister Bernice said, unfortunately, some will spend your money. Right.
They will. I mean, I have a narrative from a colleague of mine when I was in my district who's his own brother. He sent money home. Brother sends him pictures of this project that's supposedly going up. So he's all excited. One year he decides to do a surprise visit.
Right.
I think by the time he landed, his brother must have gotten wind that he was in the country. So he went underground. My man said when he went to the site where he thought his almost finished project was going to be, all was there was a foundation and a wall. But he has pictures of this beautiful structure.
I just heard that. I literally heard that.
Did not materialize until he left the country. And he said, listen, I probably would have killed my own brother, and because you're working hard. And I think, I've shared this with a couple of my friends, the mistake we make sometimes being here or being outside of the country, when we go back, the exchange ratio gives a false impression of how well we're living.
Yes.
Right? So right now, I think the ratio is like 1 to 8.2 or 8.3, something like that. Right. So just imagine my $30 can feed 20 of us right about now.
Right. So does everybody think 100 US is 820 cities?
Right. And 820 cities will feed 8 of us very well.
Oh my goodness.
Very well. I mean, like, very well, right?
Yeah.
And so when you go and you spend $100 and you feed 8 people, and yeah, enjoy, eat, no biggie, and you just cover the bill, right? The messaging is, oh, this guy's rich. This guy got it, right? And I think I perpetuated that in my earlier trips with some of my siblings there, because I will. My wife called it Christmas in July, right? Because I will go in July. I'm bringing gear. I'm bringing money, and then we lock out a corner of a restaurant and just bring come bring a friend. We eat. I mean, so even if I spend $300 for 15, 20 of us, okay, no biggie, because I can tell you, you and I could go to a restaurant anywhere in New York and we'll easily spend $200. Easily.
And 2 people.
And that's just 2 people, right? So imagine if that 200 plus a little bit more is covering the cost of 15 people sitting down and having a decent meal.
Right.
You do that, and then you dash everybody. They look at you like, "Oh, this guy's filthy rich," right? But that's the wrong messaging. And so, what I would share with my brothers and sisters out there, just be mindful, because it doesn't. Even when you try to explain to family, and I'm not even talking just your friends over there, family, that no, I'm really struggling and I'm putting in work and I'm doing 12-hour shifts and da da da. It doesn't come across, because in their head, but you're in America, but you're in America. No, yeah, being in America doesn't mean I have it easy. It looks easy here because my money goes quite a long way, and so those are some of the things that I think we really have to be mindful of, how we message how we're really living outside of the country.
So let's talk for a moment about haggling.
Oh, that's Sonia's specialty.
Wait. Here's the epiphany. Now, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about. The barter system and what have you. First time I go, now in essence, in my head, this is my 4th trip. Again, twice in South Africa, twice in Ghana. Even though it's 2 different countries, the whole bartering system is still similar.
Yeah.
It was this trip that I had this awakening. And I said, but it was after I left, I think it was after I left the Kente village, which those people who followed me, if you were a part of quote unquote Seeds of Imani personal curation shopping network, then of course we're going to connect, because y'all got to come get your stuff. I'm not dropping off nothing. I flew, y'all can drive over. Back to the message. When I left the Kente market this time, and I had gotten a number of different pieces, and I kind of knew, I knew because I had done it before, what things cost and whatever. Here's what hit me. I saw those brothers on that loom. I sat on the loom. This was my 2nd time. And so I understood how the back has to bend and how the bottom has to fit on this little pillow that looks like the pillow is about 10 years old. I saw how the feet have to really strain in order to move the spindle, the whatever you call them. Let's just say the spindle, so you can do the in and out. And you're telling me that, let's just throw out a number. Let's just say it's 400 CDs. Okay. Those people who want to do the math, is fine. And I'm expected to barter or negotiate down from that. It hit me when I walked out the door. Why am I going to discount the 6 or 9 hours it took you to make one panel, or the 2 weeks it took you to make a 7 panel, a 2-yard piece? Why am I doing that? Because, hear me out, folks, you won't walk into Louis Vuitton and talk about negotiating down. You're not going, and I'm saying this again, I'm bringing out my Brooklyn, because it hit me. You're not going into Tiffany and Co. You're not even going to Old Navy. You're not doing that. You're not going to Gucci saying, excuse me, I really think that this little, wait, let me give an example. Like this little pouch, right? Which is probably cost, let's just say it's cost $350. I really only want to pay like $95. You're not doing that. They'll say, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing that to my brothers and sisters? And then when I expressed it to someone, they said, but Doriel, that's the way of life. And you're expected to do that. I wonder how many people actually say, oh, that's 400 CDs. Not a problem. I'm going to give you 500. Like, would they accept it? Would they be like, no, sister, like you're supposed to go through this haggling with us?
Oh, they'll gladly accept that. Let's not get it twisted now.
But they gave the side eye because when they said, oh, here, this is so-and-so. And I immediately said, because it happened right before I left, I just said, oh, example, oh, it's 400 CDs here. And they literally looked at me and they said,
because you went against the grain. You went against the grain.
But I looked at them and I said, I know how long it took you to do that. I want to honor you. And they like, no, sister, we're supposed to. I just said, here, just take it.
Oh, no, they'll take it. But, you know, what you did was kind of go against the grain because you did something that went against what is customary, so to speak, right? Because it's not, you know, this is what we do. That's just how we've always been. I would tell you in the earlier days, you know, in the 90s when I would go, you could legitimately go with like gear, shoes, you know, something decent and legitimately exchange. You know, though they're not doing that at the markets anymore, you know, you know, they've wised up. But at, you know, like I said, in the early 90s, you literally can go you know, with a piece of attire and do an even exchange, right? So that was part of the system. That's been part of our system for years. You know, I exchange my goods with your goods, type of deal. And it's just taken on a different lifestyle and a different flavor. But there's sportsmanship in that as well, right? And that, you know, you say 50, I say 40. Then you come back and say 45, and I go, okay, I'm saving 5, right? You know, it's a dance. I mean,
it's a beautiful dance.
It's a beautiful dance because they were like, oh, it took. They'll give you a nice, beautiful story about, you know, how long, as you're sharing, you know, 8 hours, and oh, we had to bring this all the way from the Volta region. They'll give you all kinds of narratives to let you understand that, you know, you are getting one of a kind material. Mind you, 2 kiosks now, I got like 30 of the same things, but that's you know, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I see like little symbols of made in China or some crazy. I'm like, see, and so then I got to call them out. Like, I said, come on, man, you let the Chinese make this, stop, you know. But it's fun. It allows you to also engage the business folk, right? It allows you to engage the business folks in a different way because they enjoy the back and forth with you.
Yeah.
As well, you know, and I think that's what makes the experience valuable.
Right. And that was I got better at it. So wait, who said it? Here we go. So thank you for Principal Bird Hollis. Get your negotiation skills sharp. Right. Keeps you sharp. And then Sister Bernice, my cousin, used to tell me that you're thinking from your perspective, but you have to think of the perspective of the land or environment you're in. Sister Sonia, that's exactly what Kwame was saying at the beginning. Must leave America here. I even sort of hopped back into the bartering, or not the bartering, excuse me, but the negotiating, because that's different. And I went through, what was it? It must have been with the silver bangles. And so I think like I wanted, I think I said I needed 10 because again, there were like 10 little children. And from my, let's say, cultural practice that I remember, my family being immediately from Barbados before coming here, when children were born, they got a silver bangle.
Okay.
Whatever the tradition came from, I just remember you give a baby a silver bangle. And so I said, oh, I'm trying to count the children. I said, you know what, give me 10. And then he goes, okay, let's just say it's, let's say it's let's say it's 800 CDs. So let's say approximately 100 US, approximately.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, I said, well, man, oh, okay. Well, no. And then I started like negotiating down. So I think I went to half. So let's just say I said, oh, no, not 800. I'll give you 4. And then he's like, oh, so now this becomes drama. Oh, my sister. Oh, do you know this is like this is silver? And like we had to hammer in and we had to get the like smell.
They'll give you a narrative, but that's the beauty of it, right?
It
I
was
mean, so
beautiful.
you have this interaction,
It was
and
beautiful. And
you
then I
know.
walked away. I'm like, nah, forget it.
Oh
No,
no, don't walk away, because that only means that they're coming for you.
I
You got to
know.
come back, sister. Okay,
I
okay,
know.
okay, okay.
That's right.
Name a better price.
Right. And he goes, give me better price. Just name it. Give
Mm-hmm,
me better
mm-hmm.
price. And I said, and I must have let's say I probably stopped at like 600 or something like that. But I said, but you know what? No, if you're gonna give me that, forget it. I don't want 10. Give me 7. And he's like, oh, wait, no. And so we figured it out and we got like a workable price.
Right,
But
right.
it was that dance. It was just such a beautiful,
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
from an anthropological, perspective or an ethnographic perspective. Come
Uh-huh.
on, Dr. Asante.
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's what it is. But here's the thing, the last time I was there, folk who do not understand that, you know, the 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 sellers are looking for customers.
Yeah.
If you go and you're impatient, right, their antics may become you may find it annoying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that I saw last time I'm trying, was it Christmas? No, it has to be last summer that I was there with my nephew, and some outsiders were there, but it was just the way they responded. That I had to do it look like, I had to catch myself, from saying something like, don't be an don't be a jerk about it. You know what I mean? Like, don't be a jerk. Like,
Okay, wait. Shout out to Eric who said, just like we did on Delancey and Orchard. Come through, Eric. Come through.
love. That's what I'm talking about, baby. EV, what's up, baby?
Okay. What sheepskin did you
Oh,
go like barter for, right? What leather outfit did you go? Eric,
you
what did you
gotta
go
get-
to
don't
Delancey?
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't ask that question, because he's gonna tell the secrets.
Just drop it in the chat, son. Drop
Yeah.
it in the
I
chat.
see my nephew Cujo is also on here. I hear. Okay, that's what's up.
Beautiful. So yeah, beautiful dance. I loved it. I love just the interaction. But I'm gonna drop one more thing about economics, and let's shift to education and sort of try to wrap it up. But of course, we can come back and have a totally different conversation on the next go round.
Absolutely.
And that would be what people value as like what's an investment about the whole bartering and about the about business and entrepreneurship. So when you said that if you're impatient, their antics can kind of annoy you. And I'm going to share this with a brother. I hope this brother is actually watching. So I found now a brother who's going to be my contact, and he was at the Kente market. And for those of you who go to the Kente market, if you go in Bonwire, if you go within the next 2 to 3 years, this brother's going to be there. His name is Bright. His first name is Bright, and then I guess last name is Marfo, Marfo. This brother's going to be my contact. Let me tell you how he was not a hawker, but now he's my Kent, as I call him, my Kente connection.
Mm-hmm.
This brother was, you walk in, anybody who knows what I'm talking about, you walk into the Kente market and people are just like, oh, come take a look at this. Oh, you want to come look at the loom? Great, blah, blah, blah. And these brothers who were showing the work on the loom, of course, they're like, hey, well, I have your attention. So some of them could be used car salesmen here in the States. Others like, y'all not going to make it, right? So they're like, oh, so now, well, once you sat on the loom and you're at my loom, then please go look at my area, right? This brother was very quiet. He actually quietly demonstrated sort of like the beginning of the weaving life, which literally was sitting on the floor with the twine around your like two big toes. And then he put the other part on his belt loop and then he took a thread and wove it there. And I was like, I actually never saw that before. I never saw that was, let's say, the first loom. That's interesting. But this brother was quiet. The other people were like, rah, 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 rah. Come look at this. Come look at this. Oh, see, da, da, da. And I was wondering, I was like, why? Maybe, and I'm thinking this brother is like young, meaning like he's a student of these weavers. When I'm leaving, after I, sort of said, okay, brother, I'll get a piece from you and a piece from this other brother, because this is the brother who I bought from 6 years ago. I'll get another piece because I have a couple of his pieces. I said, I don't need those. I want something different. No problem. This young brother, Bright, comes over and he says, so thank you for watching me do this type of weaving. This is the weaving that happened before the loom. So he's in essence giving me what's called like, he's nurturing. He's nurturing, but not being pushy. And he said, my brothers, please, buy from them if you'd like. I'm not really sure if when you leave, if you might want something else, if possible, I just love to talk to you. And I said, okay, thank you. Something just stuck in my head. That brother, when I left, he said, oh, do you mind if I contact you? Because there's some things that are not here that you might be interested in. I said, no problem. He then sends me a picture of something that I was kind of looking for, but I didn't see. I left. Now, you know where the Bunwire market is, right? I then had to leave and go to Cape Coast. Everybody, if you see me, how many fingers do I have up? Type that into the chat. 5 hours. This brother found the cloth that I was looking for and made a 5-hour trip to bring it to me. 5 hours. In the car. Halfway, like through the country. That will now be my contact. Because he did not hawk. In my conversation with him in WhatsApp, he said, those brothers are thinking for today. I am thinking for next week and next month. I said, booyah, you have got my business.
That's it.
You're right. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Sonia. That's commitment and service. Don't think about, what is it like, feed a man today,
he wants to fish more than just today. He wants to eat more than just today. He wants to eat tomorrow and the day after and the months after.
Then I found out that this is the son of one of the weavers. And the father wasn't there, but he said, I grew up here. I'm thinking, 9, 10. He goes, no, I was 3 years old when I started basically living in this village and coming with my father every day. Nice. And I'm like, and this man is like maybe in his 30s now. I said, no, son, those other brothers who are like, I said, no, you're going to be my contact. I thought that dedication and that like soft spoken, it just came different. I was like,
but think about it. What did you just do though? You just put him on the map. Right?
Of course I did. I did it on purpose.
Because next time I'm there, guess who I'm going to try and connect with to get my contact, right? But that's part of the dynamic. So some of them, whether they know it or not, intuitively have a sense of what I need to do to get myself out there. And so, yeah, all you guys is jockeying. Go ahead and do your thing. I'm going to catch them on their way out and hit them with the boom, bam. And then watch it marinate. And that's what's happening. I love it. That's a beautiful narrative. I like that.
Beautiful. And literally the nurturing, even when I got to my next place, hey, I just hope you reach safely. Oh, the next 2 days later, I think you're ready to get on the plane. Are you okay? Hope your journey is safe. I get back to the States the next day.
It's a Ghanaian dynamic. We are very caring people. Every once in a while we get aggressive. We're not as aggressive as our Nigerian brothers and sisters, but we are laid back, and we just, let things just progress nicely. See, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Hold on. Let me shout out how much I love Adinkra. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you very much. On the mug.
Mhm.
On the mug. That's coming on Moss. That's part of the merch. That's part of the merch.
Good
So
stuff. Good stuff.
let's wrap up. You still good? You still good for like another 15 minutes?
I'm good. I'm good. This has
We
been,
got like
look, I
25
don't know if I share
people.
with people. This was not even on my radar, right? This was something that was sparked from a comment made, and now we're sitting here for an hour long plus conversation. So things happen for a reason. Things happen
And
for a reason.
blessed. So let's just finish up with education, which of course can be its own separate conversation, and it probably will, because I'm going to have it,
Absolutely.
more times than not over the next couple of days and weeks. And for those of you who don't know, yes, my name is Joria Anes Larry, or Larry's Education and Resource Network. Let me restate that. Laye. That's a whole other conversation.
Here we go. Here we go.
Laye. My family is Ga from Accra. Okay, we're
All
gonna
right.
keep going with
We
that.
could be cousins. We could be cousins on my mother's
Look,
side.
everybody, just hold on. What do we have in common? Take a look. What do we have in
Cheekbones,
common?
baby. Is it
It's the
cheekbones?
cheekbone. It's the cheekbone. It's in the DNA. It's in the DNA. Okay.
Absolutely.
But I always enjoy engaging in critical conversations and engaging in discourse, and not the diatribe, but some dialogue and discussions about things
Mhm.
that really matter to people, but they don't take the time to sit down and flush it out. And I need time to flush things out to make sense. For the record, if anybody wants to go to the movie with me, like if y'all are going to the Wakanda, and some people are boycotting, like that's a whole other conversation. But
Yeah.
if y'all want to go to the movie with
Yeah.
me, you got to give me space and time to talk through the movie. I'm the person that talks through the movie. So if you don't want to go with me, that's perfectly fine. But I'm always going to get on some platform afterwards and be like, wait, did y'all see that? Did I mistake something? So here we go with education. This is what really racked my brain. We go to the Cape Coast. We go to, Elmina Castle. Now, mind you, this is my second time, so this is the second time I've seen it. We see a group of students. It must have been like a school trip.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't let's say you were principal of middle school, so it wasn't like you just took your middle school. Think of almost K-12. There were about 17 buses. We just kept saying group of kids. And I asked the question, don't they live here? Right? Some of you know hopefully you know where I'm going with this. What did they learn about the atrocity? What did they learn about the genocide? And we are calling it genocide.
Mm-hmm.
What did they learn about what this building is and was, and what its purpose was? From somebody who was there, they said nothing. I said, what do you mean? So I literally wanted to look at like school books. I wanted to talk to students who were there. And I said, like, what do you know? And in essence, they're taken and like, oh, this is a castle. It was built by the Portuguese or the Dutch or the British or what have you, depending on which castle, which dungeon you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it was used to transport goods. I said, let me take a sip on that.
Wow.
Can you repeat that to me? These students who live a couple miles away, I don't know. Thank you, Drea. Thank you. You mean to tell me that they're not living with the truth of, now I'm going to speak of me, a person who was born African but born in the States, that I am the descendant of the people, some of the people, depending on what story you're telling, of a group of people who was removed, transported, and dropped off at one of the other places in the diaspora. Y'all gonna learn that lesson? In their social studies books, because you're the math and science person, I'm the ELA and social studies person.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, because I learned this when I did my admin work, depending on the state that you're in, the state will dictate the version of the historical perspective that is taught within that state. So my New York City fourth grade curriculum about American history looks a little bit different from the fourth grade social studies textbook in Mississippi, in Louisiana, in North Carolina, in Virginia. What say you about that? When, like, if you remember, what do you remember learning about when you were youth?
As a child, you know, that wasn't part of our curriculum. Before I left Ghana, it's fascinating because I think all of us, wherever we are situated, right, the things that are right in our backyard, we oftentimes, you know, we know of it, but don't really know it. And so that's how I have to state it, because, you know, we have kids who live in New York, New Jersey area. Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island has been there all this time, right? Never been there. Couldn't even tell you. You know, we know the statue is there, but couldn't tell you the true essence of what that place signifies, right?
Right.
And so I think it's on the same line somewhat. Why would you tell the people, have the people know that they were colonized, right? Why would you give them the true essence of what's happened to their ancestors? Because what you don't want is for someone in the midst of these younger generation to rise up, right, and tear everything down in a way that you didn't calculate or plan for, right? So there's some elements, I think, associated with that. The sad part here in what you're saying is the fact that they just mentioned that it was used for transporting goods, right? So did you share with them what the goods were? Right? Because see, that's where my instructional head went. Like, you got to keep it honest, you got to keep it real for them. No, it wasn't just goods as in pineapples and tomatoes and all of the
right, and cocoa,
right, or cocoa for that matter, right? Not those goods,
right?
The goods of your ancestors, your great 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 great, right? So,
right.
Hearing that will evoke something different. Because I know how I felt when I stood in that dungeon. I know how I felt when I stepped into that narrow path of the door of no return.
Correct.
So imagine 17 buses of children being exposed to the true essence of what that space is.
Right. Of their own country.
Of their own country.
Right.
Right. And the people that
perpetuated it.
Right. So it's, I think part of it is a conditioning, as you stated. You know, the history or what you're taught is local, regional, however you want to qualify it. But that's pretty much what's at play here. You know, I have nephews and relatives who've never been to the castle, never been. And those who've gone went on some occasions because I came from there to go there, right? So there's a whole dynamic at play. The other thing I've seen or started seeing when my nieces and nephews were in school was just the structure is different, right? They're beginning to mimic a lot more of the Western elements. You know, when I was there, we had assemblies. You had to be in uniform. Your new uniform had to be creased.
That's right.
We
and that white better be whitened.
Listen, we competed to have the sharpest crease.
Okay,
right?
wait.
Elements that still stay with me till this day. My wife always wanted to crack jokes, you know. Like, you just why you gotta iron everything? Child, I don't leave the house unless it's crisp, right?
Wait. Who in, because I think you're about the same age. So do you remember? Because we did it in Brooklyn, we actually sewed.
Oh no, that was all
in our
my devil jeans. Oh no, I went to Bradford and Ali. Taylor's in Newark, on Halsey Street and Bradford Place. To put the permanent crease. Yes, that was. Come on, we grew up around that time.
Yes.
You have your crease.
Hold on a second. I'm going to read some of these comments because they're really, really good. Okay, so Sister Bernice said a different perspective because slavery didn't go past the door of no return. So this is about the education and what was taught and what was omitted, what is being omitted. They don't know about Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, correct? Drea says history is hidden just like here in the States. They bypass it. Okay, so we'll have a CRT conversation on another day. Y'all come back to that. Drea, thank you so much. The real history is hidden and not discussed. Brother Eric says it's to keep the unrest and the uprising against the colonizers at bay. Yes, so you were definitely echoing the brother here. Brother Emmanuel says, well, that's true. The focus was and has always been on the country's independence march, yes, and not the slave trade.
Nephew, that's right. Put it out there.
Beautiful. It's crazy because so many are now going back and they can be meeting their relatives and don't even know it. Hence, my saying my name and then being like, wait, there's Layes down the road. I know that. Hello. Is that why you had the super crease in every pair of leaves? Hello.
Dre, don't hate on the brother. Yes and yes.
Wait a minute. Eric knows about your sock drawer.
Really? Y'all really doing this on live streaming?
All right, let's get back to the history. Here we go.
Oh wow.
So it was very it was heart-wrenching to know that literally I came I'll be silly for this second and say a gabillion steps or a gabillion feet from the place I'm staying, which is in Brooklyn, to come and see this. And at the same time, I'm seeing young people in their uniforms, in their school coming and learning the same thing for the first time. Even though, yes, you did say that there could have been a parallel with us. And, this time I'll say we were definitely brothers and sisters because we share the Statue of Liberty. We're not getting into it belongs to New Jersey and New York. We share it. But because that difference is more about, it's a freedom. And we're not going to talk about how it's really an African woman versus the European one. But I mean, the French woman.
That would be getting too deep.
Right. But just the focus of how the dungeons, and I literally shifted my thinking. So even if y'all can type in the chat, just type the word dungeon. Just type the word dungeon because someone said it to me this time and it was like a light switch went on. We're not going to call it Slave Castle. We're not going to call it Elmina Castle because castle denotes that it is something that
opulence,
prestige, and royalty and dignity and opulence. Nah, son, nah, sis. It's a dungeon. They were shoved in. They were kept in. They were beaten and raped and all of that. It's the truth. It's the truth. And so thank you so much for everybody typing in the word dungeon. So whenever someone says, I went to Elmina, before they get the word cast, say dungeon. Just say dungeon. Let's participate in shifting this narrative. So education, what people are taught. The other interesting piece, and we can, start to wrap up, even though I'm totally loving this conversation, is around, yes, and you touched on it, the Western flow and the ebb and the flow. So this will definitely be in a different conversation because I've asked this question as someone who's a child development specialist. So my focus is theory of early childhood. So we're going to throw in Piaget. We're going to throw in Montessori. We're going to throw in Vygotsky. We're going to throw in even Horney. We're going to throw in, who else? Bronfenbrenner. These are, early childhood theorists and social and emotional theorists that their words, their names, their theories just rolled off of our tongues, especially if we went to undergrad.
Right.
At one point, I asked the question, and if there are any other admin or child development folks, or especially if you are part of the faculty, part of the academia of higher education, Tell me what African child psychologist or child development specialist you know.
Deep.
Can I put my ear to the? Anybody saying anything? I asked that question one day to my professors when I got to my 300 level classes. My brother, thank God, who anybody knows about like the Black think tank in New York. It was First World. Back in the 80s and early 90s at City College, where we had Dr. Ben, and come on, y'all got to drop the names, right? Kwame Asante, Dr. Maulana Karenga, Dr. LaFrancis Rogers Rose, Dr. Joanza Kunjufu, right? Amos Wilson, Ivan Van Sertima. Shall I go on? Can we just drop names in the chat? And I sat at the feet of these people week after week after week after week after week. And so while I was going to my, shout out to Connecticut College, I still love them. I'm still a camel, not UConn, but Connecticut College. But at the same time, I had this other Pan-Africanist education on the weekends and on holidays. And I went back and I said to my professors, I said, so we're going to write this. I'm writing this paper on motor control of infants. We were doing a cross-cultural comparison, Australia, Europe, and I think it was Africa, or like Kenya. Let's say Kenya. And they said, oh, we know that babies can't really hold their head up until they're about, I think, 5 or 6 months old. But I had just read a book by Dr. Amos Wilson, who wrote The Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. That was my Bible because I was a child development specialist. So I read that book, kiva to kiva. Somebody type in kiva to kiva. And he said in chapter 2 that African children can hold their head up as early as, take a guess. What would you think? Because you've seen it.
I would venture to say 2 months.
Let's say 2 months. I put that on my paper. My professors called me into their office. What is this heresy? What are you talking about? We've shown that it's not until 5 or 6 months. I said, well, Dr. Amos Wilson said that it was 2 months. Who is he? And I took the book and I said, wait, isn't there a doctor right next to his name? Isn't there a doctor next to your name? Aren't y'all the same? And they looked at me like I just cursed the ground they walked on. And I said, well, I'm new to academia. I said, isn't it the same? Well, we don't know who he is. We don't know, where he's from and what college, quote unquote, he comes out of, what university he comes out of. So we don't recognize his work. At the same time, my professor, who had just come from Ghana, married a Ghanaian sister, brought her back. She was 8 months pregnant, got off the plane. She gives birth. I get to the hospital. They're like, you have to come to the hospital and be with her. I become her sister. She brings the baby home. Now she's born and raised in Ghana, brings the baby home, turns the baby upside down, stretches the baby's legs, puts the baby on her lap, like does serious deep tissue massage. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And then puts the baby on her back. Baby was 2 days old. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that? Or isn't the baby going to get hurt? She's like, no, this is what we do. We got to work. I got to work. Like, I got to clean the house. I'm like, you just came home. 2 days later, that baby had turned its own head on her back. I said, ooh, is that supposed to happen? 3 weeks later, that baby not only turned his head, but kind of like lifted his head up. I said, excuse me, we didn't have phones that recorded. I couldn't record it. I went back to my professor. I said, excuse me, we got an example right there. Who are the African philosophers of child development? Can we even name them? So when I look at in our educational work, now whenever someone says, oh, according to, give me somebody that you have to quote all the time.
Well, I mean, I think we quote Dewey all the time, right?
There we go. Dewey. Right. Dewey. Quintessential. And now I say, you mean nobody in the whole continent of Africa has anything to say about child development? Has anything to say about education? Has anything to say about social and emotional development? Has anything to say about constructivist learning? Are you kidding? So what, they don't go to school? They don't learn? What are they doing?
They're not taking whatever they have to say is not being valued, or better yet, they hear it and come here and put it out as if it's theirs.
Who knows the book Stolen Legacy?
So
Dr. Asante, I'm putting it out there. Dr. Asante.
All right now.
Dr. Asante, let's prophesy this. Come on, y'all, type it in the chat. Dr. Asante, we're going to start echoing that.
No pressure at all. No pressure.
None. We all need our own texts.
That's it.
That are independent of other thought, that are ethnographic, right? That's right. See, there we go. Boom. Thank you, Brother Keith. Thank you, Sister Sonia. I love it. We, of course, need more texts. We need more conversations. We need more of these conversations. Thank you, Principal Bird Hollis, Dr. Asante. That are observational, that are, as I said, our noticings and wonderings, and with a lens of community, right? Not individualism. When whoever said no man is an island, right? It is not the I, it is the we. What is that term? Ubuntu? I mean, like forward to, or Harambe, definitely, right? Forward together. But that we-ism, it's not, oh, I'm making it. Nah, you're not an I unless you are a we.
Oh, no, absolutely. Even this journey that I'm on, as far as even my doctorate. So it started with my brother initiating the process. So he goes and,
come on, brother. What's his name? Give me his
Frank Asante. Right. So Frank starts the process. Then, the group. One of the things that my boys and I, even my 100 Black men brothers, we encourage and we are inspired by, versus being jealous that, oh, you got this. No, you got this. Well, I'm gonna get that and then some.
You gonna get it.
And push you to step it up. And so this process started, and I have to give Frank a shout out because he just took the risk of going, starting his doctoral program. I was like, oh, good for you. Next thing I know, he's trying to coax me into it. I'm like, unbeknownst to me, another one of our boys was like, well, if he's doing it, I'm doing it. Okay, well, then we got 2. Then we got 3. So Dr. Bontre, we got Dr. Carl Bample Perry. Bird, we're trying to get Bird, Principal Hollis, into the mix, since he's putting the pressure on the brother. We got to get that pressure back on him. And so
keep him up there for a minute.
So,
Dr. Bird Hollis.
Dr. Fitzhugh, we call him the youngest in charge. He's currently a superintendent, and he's the youngest in the group at 43. So each of us motivate and push each other. We have a village, and the village takes care of itself. We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we try to always push each other. Who's next? I got it. Let's go. And we're pulling you along, and we won't let you rest until you get it done. So, yeah, the pressure is on me. So my retirement task is to finish my dissertation. That should have been done eons ago. So we are on it, and we intend to get it done before it's all said and done.
I appreciate it. So let me just say, and of course I'm putting up in the chat all the comments. I can't read all of them, but I'm trying to put them up so that people can get their moment of recognition. So Principal Bird Hollis, of course, says, I'm coming, brother. So all right, Principal Bird Hollis. So I'll have to reach out to you next summer this time, and you'll have to be on the show. I definitely thank you, Brother Sam, who says, Brother Samuel Kojo. My oldest son, his name is Kojo. So he says this conversation needs a part 2. There.
He's in Ghana. Cujo is actually in Ghana. He's supposed to be here, but that's another story.
I love it. So thank you so much. right. With this, definitely, thank you, brother Samuel. So this conversation definitely needs a part two. Those Asante brothers are top notch. Thank you, Drea for that. Excellent reflect, trying to decompress. I do hope that you all will stay tuned because again, this conversation has begun, but it has not ended because it is evolutionary, right? It's evolutionary. We're always changing and shifting and growing and expanding our network. And when you come on, say it with me, when you expand your network, you
Expand your
expand
network.
your net worth.
Expand
I
that
am
network.
only because you are.
Absolutely.
We-ins is together. We in this together.
That's
So,
it.
peace and blessings. I am very, very excited. Those people who are watching us on one platform, please follow us on YouTube, the YouTube channel. There are a couple of people who are watching us on the YouTube channel. Please stay connected to the YouTube channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, if you're watching on Facebook, please like, comment, and subscribe as well. This is also going to be broadcast on, get this, the Ghana, the GSN 24 Live, gsn24live.com. I'm going to actually broadcast it there as well. And I look forward to you all staying connected with us. Sharing this out is a blessing. It is very helpful because we have to be our own think tank.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go to the universities and shout out to, listen, I work for a university. I'm a professor as well. Brother Asante, Dr. Asante is going to be in some Ivy walls as well because we're going to get him there, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
we got to shout that out. But before we go
Absolutely.
into somebody
Absolutely.
else, I tell my son this: before you do something for somebody else, make sure you do it for your own community. And the way you do
Absolutely.
it for your own community, you speak to your own community, you broadcast for your own community, you record for your own community, you get into deep conversations with your own community, and you keep saying it and saying it, you're saying it. The second thing that I learned about you, Brother Asante, is that you said in your acceptance speech when you left, did your final stroll, is you said that administrators are not lasting as long as you did. Every couple of years, and that's what piqued my interest. You said every couple of years, let's say they're like going through a revolving door. They're coming
Mm-hmm.
in, they're going out after a couple of years, but you stayed the course. You finished the race. You did a whole 29 years in the system. God bless you. But
That's it.
you stayed, oh, like almost 3 or 4 lifetimes, professional
Yeah.
lifetimes,
And
and
that
they
I
don't
don't
make
know that.
people like
Nah. Nah. And what we're saying, or what I was saying before I stepped off stage left, um, folks are coming in, and in a matter of years, they're like, you know what? Because that position is not for the faint of heart, and people don't understand. You are the target of everybody, right? Even when you do it right, it's still wrong. So there's no pleasing any one individual, and so you have to have a different level of thick skin to sit in that chair for that for the duration. I mean, I did it for 17 years as an admin. Um, Even as a classroom teacher, you need a different level because nowadays, the kids said, and that's all that matters. Your disposition, your commentary almost is becoming irrelevant. There's a whole cartoon. I have to find it where it shows parent teacher conference in the 80s versus parent teacher conference in the 2000s. In the 80s, they go,
yes,
the caption has it, where the kid got a bad grade and the parent turns to the kid, why aren't you doing your work? Blah, 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 blah. In the 2000s, it's reversed. The parent is admonishing the teacher for the child failing. I'm like, so yeah, that is the reality of what we're living now. The field is becoming very, very heavy. It requires a lot of whew, commitment and a stick to itiveness that I don't know that our current incoming practitioners are built for, you know. And so the 30 years, the 29 years, the 40 years that, you know, folks used to stay, that's going to become a rarity as we move forward, or is becoming a rarity as we move forward. So all those folks who are still grinding out there in the field, big shout out. I know some of you are getting ready for the school year. My admin colleagues who are at your retreat next week, have fun. Good luck with 22-23, guys. I've lost you, Doc.
Right.
Your volume, I hear you speaking, but I can't hear you. Connectivity.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it's right. Fabulous. Thank you so much for this conversation, for engaging. Let's make sure that we.
I'm I'm only
Okay.
getting
So let's make
I'm only getting, I don't know if you can
sure that
hear
we
me,
stay
but I'm only getting
connected.
bits and pieces.
Peace, and I'll start to sign off. So peace and blessings. This is a learn to grow you moment where I plant seeds to help you grow. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned because there's always more. If you set your notifications, you'll know whenever I'm coming live. And if you have someone that you think is of note, that has a story to tell, that has information to share, that has lessons that need to be learned, please make sure that you send them our way so that we can continue engaging these conversations. So good night for now. Stay with us, but good night for now. It's a learn to grow you moment where I plant seeds to help you grow.